Hello. Today I forgot my SD card, so that's very disappointing. Waking up at 5:40 to get down here, but again, it's always good to see what the SEC is up to. But yeah, because I don't have my SD card, I don't know how long I'll. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it for long. If anything, I just want to show that I am consistent with my film schedule. So I will show up 2 days. So I put up at least 2 IRL videos in real life, videos a day. But this one's gonna be shorter. Here's what's nice thing was I intentionally made yesterday 2 hours and 10 minutes. Nice 20,000. Unironically, I think actually legit 20,000 steps in yesterday's video. Bosh. So there you go. So it's come to my attention that I have not really. So if I had my actual camera, I would show you guys the heat map of where I've been in DC. And actually, I said I've been to 20% of streets. I think I've actually done quite better. Now, DC is a lot bigger. So I think if you actually count DC, including the Anacostia part, I'm only like 40%. But my map looks pretty impressive, I say. Lots of coverage, lots of heat in Virginia, Maryland, DC. So I feel another little rat. So I feel pretty good about that. That part of my coverage universe. So yeah. The issue is, of course, when you take photos, I can't really do that when I have my handheld camera because I'm double wielding. As you know, double wielding doesn't work out the best. So I generally, when I do these walks, I generally try to walk on areas I've walked through before, so that way I can just film and talk about charming topics. But so anyway, I was thinking today it's going to be a shorter video, and I've kind of talked about all there was I felt like complaining about in yesterday's video. So I was thinking, why not just say random one-liners today? Like you hear someone say they want to peg the dollar. That sounds kind of effeminate, bro. You know? Unironically, that's how you get someone to either join or disavow Austrian economics. I'm not thinking through the implications, because of course there's the natural implication of pegging in both directions, right? The dollar or the act. So I'm sure modern, I think so, Austrian is more associated with machismo, whereas modern MMT probably more effeminate twinks or something, you could say. But yeah, so you want to peg the dollar. Sounds kind of effeminate, bro. That's one banger. Another one. How can doing something to get girls be gay? Can't argue with that. Or frankly, it's just how much you want to debase yourself in the attempt and the pursuit. And again, it's yeah, we've all. And again, right, if the big regret in life people tend to have, and I certainly articulate, is not being more risk on in a certainly a dating sense, yeah, debasing. I could use some more debasing. But yeah, I'm just trying to kill some time before the sun comes up, because that way, the photos I take, because I still want to take photos that I can identify what's going on my heat map. So those are the two. Yeah, and I guess naturally, everything I talk about, there is some dating or some dating undertone. As what else would I have to talk about and think about? Alas. it was yesterday, there was the protest. I didn't walk in it, but around 5 o'clock, I was walking around. I didn't walk to the Lincoln Memorial, but I walked past the White House, and you could tell there was a lot more security. They had the classic fences up all the way. I didn't walk into the Lincoln Memorial, but I saw from World War II Memorial. And that was 5 o'clock when it was wrapped up, but a very big throng of people. And again, there are perks to being in DC. I won't claim that I really appreciate all of them. Certainly, all of the cultural amenities. I suppose museums count for that, but I just suppose the fact that things happen in DC is kind of nice. Not that I necessarily go to them, but as we saw, the pre-inauguration video back in January, that was an easy walk. They don't see that every day. Would I have done investigative journalism on January 6th? Maybe. Something. End up. Man. Simpler times. Yeah, so the original plan was to walk from Union Station to Farragut North, which I think is actually a very pleasant walk because it's, again, a very nice part of DC that you're walking down. Very simple because you're walking in the simple, easy grid part of DC. Because some parts of DC can be marginally confusing. And on a heat map that is so well traveled that I would feel no desire to take photos besides an obligatory selfie to commemorate my form, the human David form, as of this day. But instead, we're just gonna walk. I'm not sure what you would call it in the neighborhood, but it's by Union Station, to the east of it, in the clearly residential area. So we were just gonna walk by that a lot, just take a lot of pictures, fill that in, walk back to Union Station. And it's this evening, it's gonna rain, but I'll probably leave early. I'll find a park bench. Gosh, probably somewhere shorter. I do have a bias towards doing things on the western part of the Red Line, as you can tell. So, gosh, there's benches in Bethesda, or parks in Bethesda, Fort Reno Park. I didn't realize that Fort Reno Park was actually the highest point in DC and actually did stuff in the Civil War. We did walk through Reno Park in a previous video, as you might have noticed. We did not read the placards, so we clearly we missed out on such a find. But I know there are benches there. I think being miserable by some benches, just doing a little swiping sounds, or not swiping. That's the wrong app, but just furiously thinking of one-liners, because it turns out the quality of the one-liner really doesn't matter. It really is just a volume game. You do something that shows some degree of thought and that the other person can react to. But otherwise, just need to get volume out. But it's such a miserly state. And it's more so an indictment of me, as most things are. But, yeah. Alas. What else? What else did we talk about? I don't know, man. That's a great line. You want to peg the dollar, bro? Kinda effeminate. Man. Again, this was if the line is every accusation is a confession. every joke is every joke reveals something. So well, it's good to know that the SEC headquarters offers housing to the unhoused. Good to know. But yes, this was much shorter, 10 minutes. So we still got some the classic hits of the content I make. Not as much complaining as ideal, but not complaining, but whinging and reminiscing as ideally one would have. But you can't have it all, can you? Yeah, I forgot the SD card. Very frustrating. And again, if I was better, there's an easy fix. I'm doing some like digital transfer. But well, at least again, I show my dedication to me, the audience, my future 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30-year-old self. Because maybe at a certain point, I will never age out of rambling to a camera. Can I do a flip around for my face?